Hello, and welcome to Stop Now, a social experiment enterprise where we stop, listen, and share. I am Nate. I am one of your hosts. I'm back. New year, same me. You know, a lot of people say new year, new me. I'm going to be real with you beautiful people this week because it's the same me. You know, I'm a little older. I'm a little more tired from the first few weeks of 2023, but it's the same me, and I'm just trying to do the best I can with the same me in a new year. Um, that's a long-winded way of saying hi. I'm Nate, and I am joined, reunited with Amanda. Amanda, how are you?
Yes. I'm doing great, Nate. Nice to reconnect again in 2023. I'm glad you're still the same old Nate. Enjoyed you before. Grateful to meet with you again today.
Yes. How's your year gone so far?
It's going all right. We met with not celebrated, but honored Human Trafficking Awareness Month last week. JK and Amar and I, and spoke a little bit about, where we are with that in 2023 as a collective, and highlighted progress that could be made or not. JK had an interesting perspective as well. But that was kind of the start of 2023 here with Stop Now. I know we're looking into possibly writing grants, figuring out ways we can support survivors and things of that nature.
Yeah, I feel like this is going to be a big year for Stop Now, and as you mentioned, Amanda, this is Awareness Month, so we definitely want to put a spotlight and a focus on that. And there is somebody who controls the spotlight. He controls the curtains. He controls the vertical and horizontal with all the things going on here at Stop Now. He is the man behind the scenes. He is the voice of the voiceless. Ladies and gentlemen, JK is with us this week. JK, how are you? Happy New Year.
Hi, Nate. Hi, Amanda. Hi, everyone. I'm back. And this is not the daily show, but still, I am back to the farm. As Amanda mentioned, we were rambling, right? So that was a spillover effect of meeting Harold and Shannon. So I was not able to talk with them at that time. So that was the reason, like I was inspired, like how they said, like human trafficking related organization or nonprofits whose mission is on any particular thing to stop or make changes have to be from the survivors or from the lens of the victims. So I was thinking that like none of us are victims, right? That was the question hanging on to me. So how do we turn a table and also be a organization which is driven by the victims and the survivors so that we can do good much better and hopefully we can achieve our mission of stopping the human trafficking or highlighting, bringing awareness, educating people on various topics we started with, Nate, right? The bigger one, the elephant in the room, right? So racism and domestic abuse, child abuse, so many things.
Yeah. So how can we move forward in, implementing informed best practices when we are well aware that human trafficking is happening, domestic abuse is happening, racism is happening. It's January 2023. We're Stop Now, so how can we be effective in 2023 and reducing the numbers, the incidents?
I think when I think about it, Amanda, and I'm really interested to hear JK's take on it, but I think whenever you talk about these big issues, racism, domestic abuse, human trafficking, I think you have to kind of look at it through two lenses, a micro and a macro. For instance, there's the big systemic issues, especially when we talk about something like racism, that it's going to take a while to fix because it's baked into the crust. It's woven into the thread of the structures, particularly in America. but you can do things on a local level. You can do things in a community level that can affect change. And when I think about human trafficking, again, it's that old story about the starfish and the little boy by the ocean. You know, he keeps throwing these starfish out in the ocean and they keep getting water back on the shore. And the old man's like, "Hey kid, why do you keep throwing the starfish in the ocean? It doesn't matter." And he's like, "Well, it mattered to that one." And so for human trafficking, we can help individual survivors. We can help individual victims and still work to eliminate the overall problem. But I do think, especially for an organization like Stop Now, and I can tell, I can hear in JK's voice how he was inspired through the conversation with Harold and with Shannon. There is some more that we can do for particular individuals to get them from being victims to survivors to thrivers. JK, what do you think about that? What are you looking forward to in 2023? Like, what are some ways that you feel Stop Now can be even more effective in fighting some of these issues?
Yeah, Nate, I volunteered myself to be a victim. That was the resolution I took it. And we went dark mode in terms of the experiment lab because I was tired of the Daily Show. And you know that, right?
You and Trevor Noah both were tired of the Daily Show. Yeah. We get it.
He quit after 7 years, but even after 7 weeks, like I got like again the flu took me down, so I was not able to do well. But I tried my best. But it all depends on our team effort, right? So the reason why we went on, I say as a dark mode is like it's exclusively for members. The reason is like we need to generate revenue as well. Even if it is a nonprofit, it is a business, and we are relying on people to support us through donations. And we haven't got much success in that. So we are turning our channel into members only, which we cannot do it with Stop Now channel, right? I know that like people would love to see you and Amanda and all the guests talk show free of cost for the public. But then this experiment lab, I launched it on a daily basis. It's like a regular routine job, it turned out. And so much of information is being shared in that. So we don't want those, how do I say, like violations or things that are privacy kind of issues coming up in our channel. So we turn that into members only. So it's not a big amount, but people who sign up as a member pay $10 a month just to support us to go forward, and they can access all the content. So that is what like I meant to say dark mode. So a lot of activities happening. We even got another project, and we are exploring all these things, right? So behind the scene, I don't want like to brag about that in this show because we are talking about National Human Trafficking Awareness Month, and related to that, like what we can do and how we can improve on by bringing in more guests. That is also a goal, right? Talking to survivor experts and victims, those who are brave enough to come and share their stories. Those are the highlighting points that I wanted to focus on. And back to you, Amanda.
There seems to be so much information coming in to Stop Now. And I want to see it more, the output, short little clips on Instagram, on Snapchat, on Facebook about real issues that are happening on a daily basis that we are aware of because we're included in this nonprofit, but this nonprofit isn't for us, it's to educate and inform the collective about these issues. And I think change can happen on that level with the right production and delivery. And I don't think we have to rely on survivors to move us forward. I think that is actually not the best practices approach. I think it's in collaboration with informed breath practices, but not solely based on that.
Yes, I agree on that, right? Nate, help me out here. So we cannot have that lived experience, right? As I said, that I volunteered to be a victim and I am trying to do that. But for me, it looks like we were struggling to get attorneys or lawyers in our show to ask these questions and clarify on the legality of it. We always have this issue, like the team members are also scared, like to come and face these topics in the public domain. The reason being is like, what if I get exposed? Whether I, just like you and me, right? So we had this feeling, right? I'm doing somebody else's work, and if I get caught, like, am I going to go to jail? So will I turn into a victim? Just like one of the, I believe, like Shannon or someone told that, right? Sex trafficking victims are even registered as an offenders, sex offenders. Victims are. So then, how do we address these issues?
Yeah, I think that it goes back to, and I definitely understand Amanda's point, because it's kind of like, and again, I'll bring it to race because that's something I can speak about with some informed knowledge. Like it's like 2 summers ago, when the George Floyd situation was going on, and folks were starting to get more educated about race in America and the history of racism in America. And when I say folks, I'm primarily talking about our Caucasian friends. And the biggest thing that I saw that was coming out of a good place, but it ended up being a negative, is I'm going to ask my Black friends all about this. And I'm going to put the burden of my education, of my knowledge, my enlightenment on my Black friends. And so we don't want it to be a situation where the burden of the mission is on the survivors. You know, we want to definitely get the input of the survivors, because that is knowledge that we don't have. You know, we haven't lived that experience. So it's that collaboration that, you know, we want to set up something where they feel comfortable, because I think that's another thing. You talk about folks not wanting to put their name on it, JK, for fear of repercussions. It's got to be a place where people feel comfortable to express what they've been through and express what's going on. And for folks on the other side who are lawyers or experts in this, to feel like if I talk to JK and Nate and Amanda and Elias and Walter or whoever, Amir, if I talk to any of the folks over there about this, like, I don't want repercussions coming back on me, because at the end of the day, I feel like folks will help to a certain extent. And so I feel like one of the things I want to see in 2023 for Stop Now is more collaboration. I think that's something you and I have always talked about, JK. More collaboration. I feel like I want this to be a place where victims and folks that are championing the rights of survivors can feel comfortable and like not have to worry about, if I put my name on this, can I get blowback from, you know, any of these organizations or anything out here. So I'm excited, because I think there's a foundation that has been built here with Stop Now. And so the next thing you do with a foundation is you build upon it. You know, like if we're building a house, JK, and we got like a great first floor, you don't just stop there, because you need a roof and you need walls and you need a man cave and you need like a shoe closet. I'm not a carpenter. I don't know how to build these houses, but you got to build on it and expand. And the bigger your house is, the more people you can let in. And I feel like the more we can build on Stop Now's foundation, the more people we can partner with, and the more work and the more good, you know, we can do for people that have gone through some of these terrible things.
You know, I'm active on Hit Record. I don't know if you're familiar with that, but it's a collaborative platform. And, you know, speaking of George Floyd, somebody wrote a poem and I did some voice acting, and I, you know, remember passionately reading the poem, say his name, George Floyd, and going louder and louder and louder. And it was, you know, an emotional piece for me. And I had the opportunity to do that because somebody wrote a poem. And never met this person in my life, but it was a new creation was developed. I would like to see Stop Now utilizing this platform in that regard, having piece poems written by survivors, that helps with TSD, etc. So we can look at it from a variety of different perspectives, but and then allowing creatives and artists who are looking for opportunities to plug into to then develop voice acting scripts, video, and then somebody can develop a video after the voice acting has been developed. Somebody, there's a process: the writing, the voice acting, the video, and then we can start to post these PSAs or whatever we want to call it, but educational videos, informed videos, social justice videos. We can come up with some name some container that everybody can agree on and feel inspired to contribute and share their talents and express their views. I think a lot of people are wanting to stand up for what's right. I think there's a fear of protesting because sometimes, unfortunately, you can get thrown into jail for protesting, someplace that's safe, and you can help from the comfort of your own home, in your creative zone, whatever you need for yourself to express yourself and not feel like you have to be on stage. I think something like that for Stop Now would be progressive, and I think we're ready for it.
And there's strength in numbers, Amanda. Like, nobody wants to be very few people, I should say, want to be like, I'm going to step out on this limb and be the only person out here. Most people find strength in numbers, and so the more collaboration, the more connections we can make, I think that will also embolden people, because it's not like, if I'm somebody out here, it's like, I really want to help this person, and I've got this great idea, but now I've got to think of the platform. I've got to do this. I've got to do that. You can come to Stop Now, and we've got the infrastructure for you, and you just have to bring your idea and bring your passion to it.
And so many guests have come to the show, and I think, on the website that needs to be highlighted, supported by trauma-informed consultant who we met with 2 months ago, supported by survivor consultants who we plan to meet with soon, etc. And start highlighting these entities, these businesses who have put themselves out there and stepped into this role professionally, personally, whatever it may be, but having a space on the website where people can feel like they're a part of this movement, see that there's strength in numbers, be a part of be a number,
See, JK, you got inspired a couple of weeks ago, and I feel like through the process of this conversation that we're having this week, I'm starting to get a little more fired up. Even I was already fired up. That's why I wore my red Tiger Woods on Sunday shirt for this episode, JK. But I feel like there's so much I think that Stop Now has done in terms of the awareness part of the equation. But again, you and I have talked about it a lot over the last couple of years, that collaboration and going to that next level. I think the potential for good that Stop Now can do is limitless.
Yeah, I agree. I totally agree on that. Again, for me, it's a journey that you both as mentioned, right? So it's like a collaboration. Alone we can do it. Like, we can partner with a different organization that is doing on, and as Amanda mentioned, we can highlight, do things creatively, and use all those things in the platform and put it in the website. And again, we have not been even able to get the resources to manage those things because it is too much of a thing, right? So even for managing the social media platform or working with the web development company or the team to update those things, all these things turns to the final thing, right? Where do we get the funding to operate all these things, right? Just like Harold mentioned, he was also struggling, though he proudly says that like he's creating globally awareness, going and talking to people, but it's a meager thing that he gets out of it. If he doesn't have a full-time job, it becomes tough for him because he is right now, probably I shouldn't be saying this, he's not very old, but still his sons are well settled, so he can take care of this and he can go on this mission. But for people who have to survive, right, who have to pay the bills, they cannot expect this nonprofit work to support their life, right? So that's the struggle. And he admitted that, like openly saying that, like, I haven't got any donation to even operate the website. So he has been doing it like for 5 years, right? So for his nonprofit alone. So when that is the case, like even my question is like, I don't want like our foundation to go through that process because we are self-funded and we are using this experiment to even fund ourselves. And we are in a better shape than we were in 2 years before. And we can even operate without any donations for the next 2 years, that's for sure. But my question is, for any other nonprofits, anyone who wants to start a nonprofit, who wants to bring in these kind of issues, how do they survive, right? Because it is mainly dependent on sponsors and donations. So any thoughts or any creative ideas you guys can think of, how do we raise funds?
I started thinking about who we could partner with. You know, people make a transaction sometimes and you can add $1 or $2 or $3 at the end to help stop human trafficking. And I think, you know, that is, if we're set up for that, I think it's a possibility. I think it would be successful. And people would be able to help how they can in that moment in time. So that's just one idea. You know, and another idea, vision I had was, you know, getting musicians to play live and you know, needing to pay to keep watching, you know, raising funds. I've seen that be successful before, and maybe it's a matter of timing. But you know what, like, when is enough and when is enough? When does something need to happen in the world for it to be highlighted for us to then get the spotlight and now people care about this issue? Like, that's already happened, you know?
Yeah, I feel like this is always going to be the sticking point for anything, not just nonprofit, but speaking to, you know, the folks I work with in the podcast space, right? Like, that's always like, how do I transition this thing that is my passion into something that makes a profit or at least offsets the cost of doing the thing? And so for me, what I have found is it takes a lot of grinding. It takes a lot of grinding and a lot of partnership. So again, we're going back to that word collaboration, that word of partnership, because I found that if I can promote, you know, somebody who's a friend or a colleague, some of their work on my show and vice versa, we get more of an audience, and theoretically more of an audience means somebody might be willing to put down a few bucks to help keep the lights on these various projects that we're working on. But it is tough because I think that folks are in you know, I'm just talking generally, you know, coming off of the pandemic, people are a lot more insular. That's the word I want to use, because I think that's a lot better than saying somebody is, you know, they don't want, they're selfish or they don't want to help somebody. But I think people are insular because that's, after this shared trauma, they're like, hey, I have to protect what is mine because I don't know when it can be taken away again. And so we have to stress the importance of the issue. I do think that the awareness part of the equation does need to be stressed, because I can tell you, Amanda, and I don't know how it is for you, but before I started working with Stop Now, I didn't know how big the issue was and how deep the issue went. And so through, working for the last couple of years here and talking with people like Harold, talking with people like Shannon, talking with people that have seen this issue from the survivor side of things, but also lawyers and law enforcement and psychiatrists and psychologists, I understand the importance of it in a way that I didn't 3 or 4 years ago. And so I think that education component still needs to be put out there, but it's got to be something that resonates. We've got to find a way to bring it home to somebody, because it's one, like, and I hate to use the analogy because I love animals, Amanda, but it's like at 2 o'clock in the morning when you see those sad puppy dog commercials or the sad kitty cat commercials or the endangered lion. It's like, oh, that's sad, but I'm not taking out my wallet right now. Somebody else can do it. We've got to make it personal for the folks out there. Like, why we have to give them a reason, and it sounds bad to say it, but we have to give them a reason to reach into their pockets besides the fact that it's for a good cause and it's helping people. Sometimes folks need that extra push, and I don't know what it is. I don't know what that extra push is, but I do know, like, education, awareness, and personalizing it and making it resonate for folks is part of that equation.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'm thinking of of a platform or the Young Turks. I don't know if you're familiar with them. They're a progressive platform, and they developed something called Be the Change Machine, and it's because they believe the work is already being done. Organizations like Stop Now just need to plug in to this Be the Change Machine, and it'll work itself out somehow, some way. And I don't know if there was any success to that idea or not, but I'm going to look back into it. Maybe we can plug in to Be the Change Machine, and then Young Turk progressive viewers can feel like they're not only supporting a news channel station. I'm not exactly sure how they portray themselves, but also contributing to change that is necessary. And I don't know, that's one option that we can look into, and I'll take the lead on that one.
I like that idea, man. And I also, while you were talking, it just hit me again. Like, I feel like young people, we've seen, whether you're talking about the racial issues in America, whether you're talking about politically, in these past midterms, like, a lot of times young people are like the fire extinguisher that's in every building. You never think about the fire extinguisher. And a lot of these organizations, a lot of these government agencies don't think about young people until it's time to get something done, because there is a power and there is an enthusiasm in younger folks. And particularly, I'm thinking about, like, my nieces. The oldest one is 17, and just like when I talk to her and her friends, like, there is a fire that somebody in their 30s and 40s, they might still want to help, but they don't have that fire of somebody that's in their teens and early 20s. And so there's got to be a way to get young people more engaged, I think.
I completely agree. Even I remember myself at 20, and I had that same passion, and somewhere along the way I got jaded, but I'm still here. I'm still trying, but that spark of feeling like they're a part of something that they want to be a part of in this world,
Yes, that's a big part of it. Like, I need to feel connected to this thing if I'm going to devote not only money, but also, like, time and energy and passion. I need to feel like I am a part of something versus this is just kind of an organization that is doing good work, but I'm not connected. Like, there's got to be a way to make that emotional connection, I think.
Right. And change needs to happen. The progress needs to happen. It can't all be for nothing. And, how we need to make sure that it has an impact. So that's also, partnering with organizations, lawyers, what have you, to make sure that it is happening. I think that's also a responsibility that we have.
Yeah, like the foundation's here, JK. Like, I think that, you and the team have done a lot of great work over the last few years. The guests that we've had, just kind of thinking about them over the holidays. I was kind of thinking back to all the people we've talked to and, Dr. Lizeth London. Like, to me, when you talk to somebody like that and you can understand and hear not only the passion that they speak with, but the drive and determination and the intelligence, like, I think there are so many great people we've talked to. Harold comes to mind. Carl Berry comes to mind. Kevin. Oh, I'm gonna blank on Kevin's last name. I think it's Kevin McNeil, but he's one of my favorite people that we've talked to. JK, but I feel like we can be doing more. I mean, everybody can be doing more if we want to be 100% real with it. Everybody can be doing more, but I think the connection part, and I don't have the answer, but I think there's things we can do to try to make that connection more and build that community. Because I feel like if we go looking for, and I tell people this all the time, with podcast work or anything like that, if you go looking for the currency first, it's going to be a long journey. But if you get the connection, then getting that currency, getting that money is a little bit more easier because people believe in you and people want to spend money on something that they believe in versus, okay, yeah, it's like when I went to church and I'm putting money in the collection plate. Like, I'm doing it because I'm supposed to do it and it's going to a good cause. But there were churches where I was like, I don't really believe in this and what you're saying, but I'm going to put my $10 in anyway. Once we get the connection, I think that currency will follow.
Mm-hmm. And maybe it's just having the right individual in the room or in the Zoom in the Zoom room to just make sure that it happens. And sometimes maybe that I'm that individual, why not? Just to make sure to confirm it, to move forward with it, make sure that, we're bringing up a very taboo and sensitive subject, ensuring that people aren't surprised by it. It's the reality. It's the world that we live in. So little things like that. I think the bridge, is an essential role to make sure these collaborations and partnerships stick.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. With that being said, I just wanted to share a quick note before we wrap up this week. As we all talking about, we worked hard for the last 2 years to develop the channel, and now we can even get the support from what you guys are talking about, from the people who are interested to become a member or share. $1 a month will help us do good things. That's something I wanted to bring attention here. And not just that, but if we want people to donate, not just being on social media or channels, they can visit our website and they can donate. So they can pick whatever amount. We have developed this with a team, and one time or monthly or annual, whatever amount they pick to. So we have come to a place where we can track these things and professionally manage, source it, help the same thing for other nonprofits as well who are struggling to get to this stage. We can do that. And even we have moved past to get merchandise products, right, online. So if people don't want to donate, right, I don't want, why should I donate? So for them, right, so it's you buy a product that will support us. So that's where we are trying to do these things. And that is also,
let me find out, we got Stop Now coffee mugs out here, JK.
Yes.
You didn't tell me about the coffee mug, sir.
Yes, it is coming. It is a gift that is coming for our team. That's for sure. I know that you're going to ask, but it is a surprise for me as well. And they are working diligently on that. So let's wrap up and talk more in the coming week. That's all from my side.
All right. I guess my last thing, Amanda, is It's always a bit of a cliche, in the early parts of a new year to not only look back but look forward on what you can do better and how you can maximize your efforts in the new year. But I really enjoyed our conversation this week, and I hope the audience did as well, because I feel like there's a great foundation here, and the potential is here for this to be a really big year in terms of Stop Now raising more awareness and helping survivors and just doing good and living up to the mission. So I'm excited. I'm glad to be back, Amanda, and then yeah, we'll do it again next week.
That sounds good. And if you have any suggestions that you want to share in the comments or nonprofit organizations that we can connect with, please let us know, and we will reach out and be in touch with them. And you can follow us along on the journey. So don't forget to subscribe.
Absolutely. So for Amanda, for JK, and for all of you watching, thank you so much for your time. And in the words of JK, bye for now.